you doing?
Good, good.
Awesome.
Hi.
Hi. So I wanted to introduce everybody. So Teresa is my client and friend and Instagram follower. So we were talking just a couple of months or so now, and she's been sharing her experience with melasma. Over the last 4 years, she's been doing a lot of research herself, visiting her dermatologist. She had a reaction to like a lightening agent that actually did the opposite effect, where it gave her hyperpigmentation pretty much. Okay. So her journey started there, where she actually went to a dermatologist, and I guess they told you that it was actually melasma, and then, you know, lots of other things happened. She prescribed some products. And 4 years later, you're kind of, you know, getting to the point where it's under control. And then Daniel is my territory manager and clinical educator from AlumierMD. So he's going to be helping us with the hyperpigmentation collection.
I hadn't seen a dermatologist prior to having a bad experience with a spot corrector. And ironically, as Yvonne said, the spot corrector, I had a reaction to one of the ingredients. I don't know which it is because it had many ingredients in the formula. I did not patch test it, which is my golden rule in PSA, is always patch test, even if it's something you've used before in the past. Yeah. Do a repatch test. I learned my lesson the hard way, and I ended up with blisters all over my face the next morning. So I had a reaction to something in it. They, of course, left marks because I am very susceptible to pigmentation issues. I went to see my dermatologist. She put me on an extremely low dose of retin A. She prescribed a non-prescription, obviously, vitamin C to help counter, and a really solid sunscreen. So that's kind of my holy trinity.
Right.
I stand by. And while I was there, I noticed she was looking at some patches on my face, and she said, "Oh, you know, these kind of blend in with your freckles." And I said, "Yeah, what are those?" And she said, it's melasma. And I had never heard of it, but I had probably noticed. Now, looking back, about 10 years is when they really started to appear, and I just didn't know what they were. And she told me what they were, and she said that the regimen that she was putting me on would certainly help to get it a little bit under control and to prevent it from getting worse.
Right. Okay. So when you look at your spots or areas that you see that pigmentation, does it have like a butterfly effect? So if it's on the left side, it's also on the right side? Is it, you know, here and here?
Yeah, for me, it's mainly the tops of my cheeks, and there's similar patches. And then I have that, I guess a lot of people call it like that sun mustache. I get darker right above the lip line where it's really irritating. And I don't wear foundation, so whenever this happens, you really notice it. I really notice it anyway.
Okay, so on the top of your cheek, reasoning, do you wear sunglasses?
I do. Very large sunglasses. They now come down probably to here.
So a lot of people, what they don't realize when they're wearing sunglasses, it's probably the reflection from the glass that caused that extensive area to be exposed a little bit more. And lots of things that cause melasma. I mean, it's hormonal. It's a lot of women will get it from birth control. They will get it from, you know, having children. They will get it from using hair removal product, maybe on the upper lip. That may have been partial cause. It's one of those skin, I don't want to call it a condition because it's not really, but it's a slow process. You can't get results quick. It takes a substantial amount of time. We're talking probably, I would say 6 to 8 months before you start to kind of go, oh yeah, like look at, it's actually much better.
And isn't that exactly what you were saying, Teresa, that it took you about a year from, you know, being, starting on the new routine with vitamin C, the very low dose, I think you said 0.01 retin A, and sunscreen, and it took you about a year to actually see the results of that.
And It's very low and slow is what my dermatologist said. Low doses of everything, go slow. You start with skipping days. Don't expect to see anything overnight. You have to invest in it like anything else. It's a long game. And in looking at my pictures from year to year, that's when I really noticed that there was a dramatic difference after a year, an improvement from the habit.
Yeah, and it's the type of program that you won't notice, you know, but everybody else is going to look at your skin and go, oh my God, look how bright her skin is. Mm-hmm. You know, that's kind of how you want to do it, because again, if you treat and you're only treating particular areas, this area is now going to be lighter than the rest, which you don't want. That's called a halo effect, that it's not what you're looking for. You need to treat whole face so that you're getting a consistent treatment across the entire area. You know what, you notice it, but probably a lot of people don't. And that's usually the case with most melasma types. The thing you need to look at is, what are you doing daily to kind of deal with it? So, you know, you're wearing a sunscreen, which is fantastic. You got to be 100% compliant with that.
She is.
No sun exposure, which is brutal, I know. No heat exposure, because heat will also activate it.
Oh, I'm so happy that you brought that up, actually, because the reason why we even had this call in the first place is because she was sharing her experience from her melasma being triggered by literally body heat from exercising. And even her dermatologist wasn't bringing that up. So she actually stumbled upon that herself. So it's interesting that you brought it up, because this is the point of the call, is that we wanted to kind of inform, you know, our clients, our followers, just to watch out for things like running outside, or even in the basement when there's no sun and your body heats up and actually triggers the melasma. So that's also your experience then?
Yeah, very much so. Also, look at things in your diet. Spicy foods, red wine, all of the good things. Those are all going to cause you to have more blood circulation to the skin. So that's going to be something to just kind of just track it. You know, I say when you're doing this kind of a program, write it all down, everything, document it so you know what you're doing and what's working, what's not working for you. Make sure you're using the right product so that you're, something is silly, and I call it silly, but I can tell you an experience I've had with this. I have a client who has a perfect straight line of pigment on her forehead. And I'm like, every time I look at her, I'm like, what the hell happened to your face? I literally look at it and I'm thinking, what happened here? And she said, oh, I'm so good. I stay out of the sun. And I said, okay, well, it was like lunchtime at the clinic, and I watched her, and she comes out and she puts her hat on. Her hat had an elastic band on the inside of it, and that pressure from the elastic band causing the pigmentation.
Wow.
It caused that friction on her skin, and it was just, you know, increasing that amount of pressure and causing issues. So you got to kind of, it's like fishing, right? Like, what's it going to be? Like, what's going to fix the problem? Yeah. Again, tell me a little bit about what you're currently using on your skin.
Very, very basic. I'm very, I'll change out my products seasonally for weight because they do have like a combination, slightly oily skin. And I am taking an oral medication, spironolactone, to control hormonal acne because I am 49. So I'm hitting it that hormonal skin issues time in my life. So I have like
in the chin area?
Yes, that it's always been here. And that started probably back in my early 40s. Just the hormones coming out. So
you always had long hair?
ish, always at least to here, and I know that that contributes to it too.
A lot of women as well, when they're cleansing their face, cleanse, go past the chin, go right down the neck.
Oh, I do. Yeah, even skincare all the way.
Yeah, that a girl. Do it.
But I have a term that goes from top to anyway.
Yeah, do it. Yeah, absolutely. Because a lot of women get that congestion through that chin line, and it's because they're doing this, and then they wipe it off.
Yeah.
They haven't even touched under here.
Yeah.
It's all building up. Hair product, same thing. It sits in your hair and it all hits like all the time.
I actually advise clients to keep it in the shower and just literally wash the face, the neck, like all the way through. And it's just so easy because you don't have to really, you know, your hair, it's already out of your face, and you can get your neck. So it's in the shower, super easy.
I even use my treatment products down as well, because your décolletage and your neck area are very sensitive, and that can be a concern when you're getting older, is that it's one thing for your face, but you don't want your neck and your décolletage to also reveal the sign.
In the back of your hands.
Back of your hands. I sunscreen my hands every single day because you're out driving and spots and all that stuff.
And neck and décolleté is a true sign of where you see people aging the most, especially women. You get that crepiness on the neck. You see the pigmentation because they're sitting out in the sun all the time.
Yeah.
It's a huge, huge area, and it's a mismatched face all the time. Yeah, you see that.
We take care of our face so much, but we don't really do too much on this area. So I got the décolleté, neck and décolleté cream just a week ago, and I've actually noticed it being like much smoother already. It's really effective.
And so when you're using that cream, use it alternatively. Don't use it every day because it's too much because of the retinol in it. And use a hydrator over the top of it because you need that hydration. Don't overdo it because you'll get almost like a retinol reaction from it.
Yeah, I've been doing that for sure.
Give yourself some time. Yeah. So are you using a retinol now?
I do. Every night I'm using 0.25%, which is still very, very mild. 2 nights a week I take off and I do 10% glycolic just to kind of keep things uncongested, especially in the summertime. So it's mixed into a cream. It's very gentle. But yeah, every other night it is the retinol cream and then my moisturizer over top or serum, whatever I'm using.
So, and that's actually the ideal way to use a retinol. Retinol actually sits in the dermal layer of the skin. It'll sit there for 28 days. If you miss a day, it's not a bad thing. People who are using it day in, day out, every single day, it's too much. If you've been using that dosage for a while, you might want to kind of take it up a little bit just to give yourself a little bit more of that cellular turnover that you're going to get from the retinol. But, you know, because it's July, I would say don't do that until September. Because retinol makes you photosensitive. That's also an issue for you. You need to ensure that you're no sun, unfortunately. Big hat, you know, scarf, whatever you need. That is really key for you. You also need to kind of get something into your routine that's going to stop the proliferation of the pigmentation. So something that's going to say no more pigment. So something like Even Tone. Even Tone has some great ingredients in it that stop the melanocyte, which looks like a little hand, which is the pigment that's down deep in the dermal layer from coming up. So basically what it does is it stops you from getting more pigment. It doesn't take it away, but it stops more.
So that's the Even Tone?
Yeah, that's Even Tone. So Even Tone has the emblica, it has white shiitake mushroom, it has licorice, and it has the peptides in there to help brighten up the skin. That's kind of your basic everybody who's dealing with pigment of any sort, a client who's going south, I put them on this a month before. With this weather, everybody should be on even tone because everybody's prone to that pigmentation issue. And you know, the fact that you have a little bit of that going on, you know what, you at least you know that.
Yeah.
You know, it's the client like Yvonne who's, you know, walking to work or doing whatever, and then, you know, come September, October, she's going to be like, oh my gosh, I've never noticed this before. Where is this coming from? It's the pigmentation. Now it's coming to the surface.
I actually have noticed a little bit, so that's good. So this will stop new pigmentation from forming. But what about the other two products in the line, the Lightening Lotion and the Intellibate Complex? Are those effective for getting rid of the?
So my thought on Lightening Lotion and Intellibate. The difference between those two products is the presence of hydroquinone. And hydroquinone is known in the industry as one of the best lightening, brightening products. It's excellent for pigmentation. It's proven to be safe in low dose. So Lightening Lotion would be my go-to if you're not opposed to using hydroquinone. Mm-hmm. Some people are, which means go to Intellibate. Intellibate has very much, it has arbutin, kojic, licorice, whereas Lightening Lotion has hydroquinone, shiitake mushroom, and licorice. So very different levels of pigmentation. Mm-hmm. So Lightening Lotion works from the top down. Mm-hmm. Even tone is working from the bottom up.
Okay.
Middle. Okay. So that's where those two products are really designed to work together. You're already using the retinol, which is perfect. You're already using sunscreen, which is perfect. The other thing in there, Everactive C&E would be fantastic. It's going to give you the protection. It's going to give you the peptides. It's going to give you lots of opportunity to stimulate the collagen. Use something, either a scrub or like an AHA, a liquid exfoliant. Because when you're doing pigmentation, what happens is we get so concerned about removing the pigment and bringing it to the surface that we forget we need to slough it off. Mm-hmm. That's really critical to making sure that your program's successful. I thought, oh, I'm going to try Lightening Lotion. I want to see what it's going to do. And I literally woke up one morning and I looked in the mirror and I went, holy crap. It's like I had all of this pigmentation on my skin. And I was like, where did that come from? Like, and of course, I know better. And I'm thinking, what do I do? So I stopped using it because I panicked. And then what happened is, so I get on the phone and I call our clinical educator and I'm like, I got this pigment thing going on. I don't know what's doing it. And she's like, where's your retinol? And I was like, what do you mean? She goes, you need to exfoliate, get it off. So you're doing all the right steps, just maybe bump it up a little bit and kind of put, you know, Lightening Lotion in there and the even tone. And then when fall comes, no sense in treating it now. Right now is your protection stage. You want to make sure you're looking after it over the next couple months. And then September, that's when you start to do treatment and be ready to kind of, you know, go in to do some peels. And again, low and slow. Get some brightness on the skin. Start out with something like lactic, even the salicylic. I'm kind of curious to find out what it is you might be allergic to. So that kind of will dictate a little bit more. If you've got the name of the products that you use, send those to Yvonne so I can kind of get in there and kind of dig a little deeper and see what might be the cause. We have like a BHA 20, which is a 20% salicylic. What's really relevant with that is that it has sloughing capability.
Mm-hmm.
Some of that pigment will actually just slough off.
That'd be awesome, right? We could try that in September.
Yeah.
I do use an enzymatic, a very gentle enzyme once a week. It's just a powder that you mix with water. Is that something that is not as, would you say?
You know what? When you mix an enzyme with water, chances are it's not as effective. But enzymatics are fantastic if they're doing a job. So like the take-home enzyme mask is a perfect opportunity because it has 10% lactic in it. So when you put that on your skin, you're going to kind of have that like almost like prickly itchiness kind of feel, which is a good thing. That means it's working.
I love that mask, actually.
Yeah.
And it's fantastic. I feel like it brightens my skin so much.
Yeah, it does make a huge difference. And I think on your skin, you know, your skin is in great condition. So I think that, you know, I think we just kind of need to tweak it a little bit to get you better result. And I think that once you start to be able to see a little bit of brightness come up on that skin, you're going to be like, oh my gosh, I love this. And, you know, I can do one treatment on you and you'll walk out the door and go, holy crap, my skin never looks like this.
Yay.
So, you know, it's kind of that all the pieces are there. You just need to kind of tweak it a little.
Mm-hmm.
And I think what you're doing is fantastic. I mean, you've done your research, you're using those right products. So, you know, September is going to be your month to kind of like really kind of go at this.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say that because your case is not severe, so it's an easy kind of transition for you. So it's doable. So.
And I have a question. So for the peels, for someone like her who really likes to test little areas before, is there a way for me to kind of test anything that she would have a reaction to, or
like peel wise?
Yeah, what do you think?
You could spot treat, but you know what? You're best to just kind of get in there and get doing it. Like that's going to give
the gentle one and just do it one layer deep.
Yeah, I mean it's a progression, right? Like we're not going to hit her hard with a power glow. You know, we're going to kind of build on the lower range and then kind of work our way up because we don't want to activate and stimulate that melasma to get worse. Mm-hmm. So that's why you want to keep your dosage low. And same with your peels, keep it really kind of
gentle,
non-reactive on her skin. The more non-reaction we can do, the better.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So we could even do some microneedling treatments as well, like very gentle. I've had really great results. If you've seen Daniel on my Instagram, if you scroll way down, I did about 4 sessions on a lady and it's night and day. But of course, like very gentle stimulation, because if you go hard, you'll actually trigger it. So definitely, yeah. You know, microneedling, chemical peels would be great for you to try. You know, over the long term, you'll see the results when we go nice and slow. So
yeah, and really kind of, I think for Yvonne is to kind of set this up as kind of create a game plan. So you know, and it's not, take the guesswork out of it. And right now, start that preparation of the skin so that you've got, you know, everything in place so that come September, you know, we can say, okay, we want you to stop using your retinol for the next 7 days because we're going to start your treatment process. Because the retinol will make you more sensitive.
Right.
So what you do is you cut back on the retinol or stop the retinol, and then you can go in and start doing treatment. And you'll get some great result, I think.
Yeah.
Your skin's, you've got great skin, so it's not...
It's amazing. And she said she's 49. I was like, wow, that's fantastic. You look definitely like 10 years younger.
Yeah. So, so what kind of sunscreen are you using?
I'm using UltraMD.
Okay.
5, and then a lot of times in my melasma patches, I'll just put a little extra zinc sunscreen just over those particular patches. It does tend to give me like a little bit of an ashy white cast, the zinc all over my face, but I really don't care about those areas. I want them protected. So I'll do the UltiMD, and then if I'm going out or sitting in a window, I'll just touch on those patches with a little bit more of a strictly mineral zinc formula.
Okay, so you might want to switch up your. I'm a big fan of UltiMD. I sold Ulta for years. I brought Ulta into Ottawa, so I know pretty much everybody who's using it. One ingredient in the Ulta that I would be of concern is the octinoxate.
Mm-hmm.
And also take and put in your mindset that change over from a chemical SPF to a mineral based.
Mm-hmm.
So if you were to do something like universal tint, that's going to give her a little bit of cover, or some of the matte colors. So she's probably between a sand kind of in that, I would think. It's also going to give her the coverage she needs and the protection she needs.
Yeah.
As well, it's going to even out her skin so she's not quite so paranoid about what she's got going on underneath of it. It almost works like a BB cream, but it's all mineral based. So it's zinc and titanium dioxide. It's a 42 SPF, so it's going to give you great coverage. You actually put it in your hand, rub your hands together, activate it, put it onto your skin, and it's kind of like 2-in-1. So something to try for you. That'll change that up a little bit for you.
Yeah, and we did, I did a video, I think I was, doing little beads in my hands and then putting it on, because if you put it on your face and then you try to mix it up, it looks really like patchy. And one in particular, I would think that you'd be a good candidate for the moisture, the sheer hydration, the versatile tint. That one is really nice. You can put it all over and it's completely mineral. So definitely worth a try. And you can come into the shop and we can try that on you as well.
Yeah, sample it out and try it and see how you like the feel of it. It's going to give you, and then you're not using that zinc on your cheek. Like, it's like wearing baby Peniton cream on your face. Yeah. I used to live at the beach pretty much, and I used to have that white nose thing going with the zinc all the time. So I can relate to that. Yeah.
For sure. And I actually did lots of tests on every skin color for the versatile tint, the moisture matte, and the clear shield. And it's been really nice. It didn't leave a cast, even on the darker skin tones, which is great. And myself, when I put it on, it's perfect. So I use between sand and amber, and then the versatile tint in the sheer hydration. And they're great, like really perfect under makeup. Very nice. So I think you'd probably have really good luck with that one too.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, so I guess to recap, what we wanted to kind of make sure that everyone caught in this conversation was that you can get your melasma triggered by just like body heat, even if you're just like running in the basement with no sun. We were even talking about, the reflection from, even if you're wearing like a huge hat and glasses, and then you mentioned yourself, the actual glasses sitting could even cause some pigmentation. So lots of things to watch out for that, not a lot of people might actually think about. So definitely lots of good takeaways.
Also, when you're driving in the car, like that's, to me, that's kind of such a relevant thing. You can tell people who drive a lot, they have more damage where the window is. So, because the sun is coming in all the time. I know for myself, I have more pigment on this side of my skin. I have more sun damage on this side. It's because I drive so much. So yeah, take that into consideration. I mean, summer is brutal to try to figure it out, but as long as you're aware, it's the people who I see who are coming in, they're doing treatments, they're doing, they're using all the right products, and then they post on their Facebook that they're at the beach, and you see the picture of them laying, and I'm like, I've literally texted my clients and I'm like, put your damn hat on. Cover your face. Like, I'm like, oh my God, like, what are you doing? Like, why are you doing this to me? But yeah, so yeah, just take the precautions.
For sure, for sure. And, you know, making sure that we get the sunscreen on the neck and the hands. So yeah, lots of, you know, protection is the number one thing, I guess, we always talk about is vitamin C, the retinol, and the sunscreen. So those are the three, the golden three. So those are definitely, you know, effective for you, and they've been working. And let's continue this and see if we can kind of bump it up a little bit in September or so, and then maybe we can do a peel, and we'll do some before and after. So that'll be really awesome to see how your kind of how your journey progresses and how much we can control the melasma.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to leveling everything up. It's been working so far, what I'm doing, but I know it can be better.
Yep.
So I'm looking forward to improving it.
Yeah, it's just fine tuning it. You've got it. Yeah, that's perfect.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, everybody. And we'll talk a little bit more, Teresa, on Instagram, and then we'll get you in for those treatments in September. And thank you, Danielle, for having a chat with us today.
No problem. My pleasure.
Have a good day. Yeah.
Have a great day.